Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us. K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Whatever on Wednesday. We've been on hiatus. I think we were on hiatus last week, but we are on live tonight, and thank you for tuning in. I'm here with Courtney Lynn Groves, and this is exciting. I'm happy to announce that Courtney is going to be collaborating with me on several initiatives. She's actually joining my coaching team at my coaching wellness practice. And so we're excited for that. But she's also jumping in and she's joining the team of Holistic Health and Hot Mamas that, of course, I know all of you tune into on Monday nights on the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. And we'll talk about when we're actually changing up the schedule and we're going to do some other initiatives and some other time frames. But hi, Courtney, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So it's our pleasure, and we're so glad to have you on the team. And we already have a warm welcome. One of our biggest supporters, Christy Wilson, is saying hello, ladies. Hi, Christy. Thanks for being here. So, Courtney, tell the listeners, I don't know where you want to start. Why don't you just tell us about your general background, your bio, what made you want to pursue a career in health and wellness. We have another fan tuning in, Kimberly Brock. Hello, welcome to the show. We appreciate you tuning in. And I will say that Kimberly is not only a fan of the show, she's also Courtney's mom and my sister. We'll say that we got the family connection going on. So hi, Kim. So Courtney, tell us more about yourself and what your plans and what your ambitions are for the wellness field.
So I am a mom and a wife. I have 2 daughters. I've always been interested in fitness ever since I was a teenager. I really started taking it seriously after my second daughter was born. I gained a lot of weight during and after my second pregnancy. And then during quarantine, I really became serious about it. I lost 40 pounds. I got into the best shape of my life, and now I want to help others do the same thing.
So I love that. And I have a similar story, of course, but my trajectory was a little bit different. It was really a lifelong problem and a food addiction. And then I still struggle with it on occasion. And I'm in a much better position than I've ever been in my life. But I think that I have the same passions. I want to help other people. And I want to, yeah. Hey, you're amazing, Courtney. So we already have that's our other super fan and my close friend, Justin. So thanks for coming on to the show, Justin. We appreciate it. So I think that
Thank you.
You really have to adopt, and I think that you believe this as well, you really have to adopt. It's more than just behavior modification. It really has to be a mindset modification. And we talk about that in our practice. We have a 3-pronged approach, actually 4-pronged for anybody who's interested. We are going to be incorporating hypnotherapy into our coaching sessions. And then we have a 3-pronged approach, which really is about mindset, nutrition, and fitness. I think that the way that I characterize it and describe it is that, it's like a tripod. Without one of those legs, the tripod can't stand. And I think that it took me a long time to understand that your mindset really is really the missing link for many people. I think many people think if you eat less and exercise more, that's the secret, but it's much more than that. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, I believe that you agree. We have similar ideologies, but take me through your thought processes on that.
Yeah, I totally agree. When I first started to really take it seriously, I was really hard on myself about, tracking everything I ate, make sure I exercise, 6 days a week. But my mindset wasn't totally right. So, during quarantine, I really worked on my mindset, and now, I feel great inside and out.
I agree. What about what about nutrition? What are your perspectives on nutrition? And I mean, I think that it's very important that people are mindful of the fact that in our practice, we talk about really weight loss is 80% and healthy living is 80% in the kitchen. That's really what makes a healthy lifestyle. And then, of course, the other 20% is hydration and these are the physical components. Mindset is 100% of it. But I think that in regards to movement, and nutrition, the nutritional piece comprises 80% of the picture.
Right, I agree. They say that you can't out exercise a bad diet. So you do really need to make sure you're you know, eating right, but you also have to give yourself balance. I try to go by like 80/20, like 80% of the time, I eat really good, but 20% of the time I, like to treat myself also.
Agreed. So I think then that's the other 20. It's the 80/20 rule in both respects. We're saying, 80/20, you're on point in regard to exercise. And I think that there's no foods that you can't have. I mean, anything is allowable and permissible in moderation, because when we speak about food, if we want, the first thing, it's like with anything, and this is often the analogy people use in the mindset world. If I tell you not to think about a blue tree, I mean, what's the first thing you think about? A blue tree, right? Do you have it in your
Right.
mind, Court? You have the blue tree in your
Yep.
mind?
Yep.
So if we tell somebody not to eat potato chips, what are they going to want to eat? Potato chips. And I think that we don't want to do that. And I think, and I don't think, I know there are over 100 different dietary theories out in the world today. And it's not a perfect fit for anyone. And I'll tell you why I know, because I'm certain I've tried all 100 of them, if not 99. But certainly I think that, and all of them have worked for me. There's not one diet that I've ever been on that hasn't worked. It's that when you stop utilizing it, when you don't do it to fidelity and fruition. But I think that there's so much hype about keto. There's so much hype about low carb, and I think that people are attracted to that. But that's not what we espouse. I mean, we do have carbs in moderation, but I think that that's a short-term fix. You get quick results, but they're not always long lasting. And Court, I mean, you've tried numerous things. I think especially when you're working out. I mean, you and I work out fairly regularly. I go to the gym almost at least 4 times a week, at my max 6 times a week. But there are times when I also do spinning. I go on the treadmill. I go for walks. And without carbs, you're really eliminating a crucial component of your dietary function that you need for exercise.
Yeah, carbs are your body's main energy source. So I don't think in my opinion, it's not great to cut out carbs entirely, especially if you're, a very active person.
And not only that, once you start reintroducing carbs into your life, I mean, every single pound quickly comes back. I mean,
Right.
you would, and then we're going to give this guidance to anybody. If you're out there and you're doing keto and you've maintained your goal, there really has to be a way to backtrack it and monitor your macros, your macronutrients to bring you off of that. You can't go from 0 carbs to 200 grams of carbs. If you really are in that lifestyle and you're looking to transition, come and talk to us. Send us a private message, and we'll help you. We'll help you transition back into a healthier lifestyle, and we're certainly willing to do that. We don't want to see anybody's hard work be derailed because you just don't have the proper techniques on how to move yourself forward. All right, but this isn't. We weren't intending to make this a fitness show. We really wanted to learn more about you. So you're a wife and a mother, but what else do you do? What are your main philosophies? What do you do for fun? Tell us. Let's talk about when you were a young woman. Did you struggle with weight in your teens and body image? And I think that that's very critical to talk about, and not something that I've struggled with. How big of an influence has And has the preoccupation with food, has food and exercise ever been a preoccupation for me? Let me ask you that. When, and I think that in the world today, I think about young women. When did you first notice or take note of how powerful those drivers are in in a young woman's life?
Yeah, honestly, I remember being in elementary school and being, concerned about my weight, which is really sad. And I hope, my kids don't ever have that, um, mindset that they're overweight, underweight, whatever. Um, but yeah, I remember being in elementary school thinking I was too big. And then, struggled with that all the way up until my 20s.
And I think I'm sure that you've heard my story before where this very similar. It was in actually in eighth grade, I think was the first time when weight really became an issue for me. Uh, I didn't necessarily, I was never I say I was never slender. I was never thin. I thought I was average. And I remember in eighth grade, I went to Catholic school, and every year we'd have to line up in the nurses in the hall in line at the nurse's office. And I know that you went to Catholic school too, and I don't know if they did this in your day, but we'd have to wait in the line, and we would get ourselves weighed. And then as we were going up, I noticed that the nurse was whispering in certain girls' ears to tell them their weight. Everybody else, if your weight was, 97, they would, say, hey, you're 97. But for the heavier girls, she was whispering in their ear. And when I got up there, I did not expect her to whisper in my ear, but she did. And that was the first time that I really thought to myself that, hey, I have an issue, a weight issue. And it's funny, and I will always remember the number. The number was 144. And now I think I look phenomenal at 144. It's actually my goal
Right.
weight most of the time. So, and I think about that now. I mean, and I know that she was trying to protect me. And I carry weight differently now too. And I was probably shorter. So 144 looked much differently on me than it does today in eighth grade. But I think to myself, what a disservice that was to me, because it really became a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it opened the door to decades of eating disorders for me, and it's something that really has derailed a lot of my weight. Um, and uh, Justin saying, yeah, bullies always make fun of people who are overweight, and that's true. And I think that's certainly problematic for young people in high school, in elementary school. And it makes me sad that when you think about that, you were thinking about that in elementary school. In eighth grade, the same for me. I was thinking about that in elementary school as well. So I think that I want to talk about this because this, I think, is very, very important. And I don't know how much you know about the sports world, Court, but if you know anything about Tom Brady, and I'm not sure if this is true. Tom Brady does not eat fat food. I'm not sure what you're classifying as fat food. I probably believe Tom Brady eats some healthy fats, but Tom Brady is an amazing specimen. I mean, he's, as you know, Court, I'm sure you're familiar with him. He's a quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now. He's a quarterback, and he's in his mid 40s. I believe and Justin will tell me his exact age. I believe he's 43. He may be 46, but his success, I believe, he's at the top of his game, and in a sport which is a young man's sport. Justin is saying he's 44. Thank you, Justin. And I attribute it, and many people attribute it to his regimen, his diet and exercise. He's very healthy, and I don't know if is he a vegan? I don't know if he's a vegan, but he doesn't eat anything or drink anything that's unhealthy. I mean, he has a really a phenomenal diet and exercise routine, and I think that really has led to his success. And I think that when you look at people out, you see people who are 50, or you see two people side by side who are 50, one with an entirely different unhealthy lifestyle, and another with a healthier lifestyle. I mean, look at those two people side by side, like Jennifer Lopez compared to,
I was just
you
thinking
know,
Jennifer Lopez when you said that.
yeah. I mean, she's I believe she may be 52 now, or I think she's 52. But look at her physique. And it's because she's had a healthy lifestyle her entire life. I mean, she says that she's had no plastic surgery, but regardless, even if she has, I'm sure she hasn't had it on her body. I mean, we've seen her body every when haven't we seen her body? She's just in phenomenal shape. Yeah,
Right.
and Kathleen saying he's a clean eater, he and his wife and his children, and that's Tom Brady, and that's exactly right. So I think that that's something to be mindful of, and when you're aging, yeah, I think you age much more gracefully if you have adopt a healthier lifestyle.
I agree.
So let's talk about movement, and I think that movement, especially for young moms. I mean, you're a mother. I'm a mother too, but I don't spend as much time with my children as you do. They're teenagers. But how can young mothers incorporate movement into their lifestyles? I mean, time is always a factor, and I know that you have two children, one's school age and one's a little bit younger than that. So it's really difficult to food prep. I remember those days well. To food prep, to exercise, to squeeze things in. I mean, what advice would you give to young mothers?
Yeah, as far as the movement, at least for me, it's been my kids actually help me move more. Every morning I try to have like a dance party with them in the living room just to get them, started for the day. I go for walks with my youngest while my oldest is at school. I bring them to the park all the time and play with them on the playground. So my kids actually help motivate me to move more.
Yeah, well, that's great, and I think that that's an important thing, and I was hoping that you would go there, is that you can make it fun. You know, movement can be
Yeah.
fun, and you can incorporate it and bring your family into the fold. So, I remember those days well. Of course, I'm not a cold weather fan. What do we do in the winter, Cord? I'm not taking them, maybe sleigh riding once or twice a year, but that was never my norm. As you know, I'm not a cold winter fan for someone who lives in the East. It seems
Yeah.
like it seems almost like a joke that my parents settled here, but here we have it. So, what would you suggest that young mothers do in the winter at home? How do we include the dance party? Is a great idea, but what else? I mean, you're fortunate, and there are virtual. Yeah, that's true. We do have a lot of virtual exercise classes now, and some are free on YouTube. If anybody wants to do that, there are options out there that don't cost a lot of money. I think that that's a great idea. But what's something fun people can do with their children inside?
So Maddie, she's 5. She's my oldest. She really likes doing like they have kids yoga on YouTube, so I'll do that with her. They do yoga along with like some Disney stories. I think it's called like Cosmic Kids or something. And so we do that a lot in the winter.
So I'm not exactly sure what this means, but you may know. I'm going to bring this up from Catholic. Oh, bowling, believe it or not, that's a great one. But that I do understand that. That's not the one I. That's not the one I couldn't understand. But I think Kathleen's trying to say roller skating.
Oh, yeah, roller
Yeah, roller
skating. Maddie,
skating. Yeah, that's actually a lot of fun. Oh, here she corrected. Yeah, we used to do roller skating, and Kathleen and I were used to roller skate together, I believe, at Rollerama. That was
yeah,
our big outing on Friday nights. Love that place. Um,
I used to go there on Friday nights too when I was in high school.
yeah, that was a great place. And Tim Fielder, he has young
Yeah,
children. He's saying Cosmic Kids Yoga. Yep, is that it? Or yup? He must be
yeah.
saying yup in agreement. So yeah, that's great. Um, And then, all right, here's a good question. How do you deal with stress? I mean, how do you deal with the stress of being a young mom? Oh, and then, well,
Yeah,
hold on one second. Let's get to Tim grabbing a cardboard box and sliding down the stairs. I don't know if we're going to promote that, Tim. We'll be getting sued for a lot of broken arms
yeah. That's
or
more,
worse.
I'll leave that to the dads.
Yeah, that's a dad that for sure. A dad exercise. But Justin's saying, how do you deal with stress? I mean, how, and I think stress is so common. And then oftentimes that's when our unhealthy behaviors and habits come out. If I'm stressed, I'm an emotional eater, I'm stressed about something. If Tim Fielder is stressing me out with those types of suggestions, I might just wrap things up and grab a bag of potato chips. But that's, I think, the key for me. Well, I'll let you answer the question and then I'll give you my perspective on it.
Yeah, honestly, when I'm stressed, I just move my body. Like I'll do a spin class or I'll go for a walk, especially since it's still nice outside. The vitamin D like just instantly makes me feel so much better. So I try to go outside if it's nice out. I'll do an exercise class at home. I'll read a book to my kids. Like stuff like that is what helps me to alleviate the stress.
Yeah, well, Kimberly has a great idea. She's saying walking helps with stress. Just walk if nothing else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Chris was popping on for a minute. I don't know if he was going to give us his. He might be feeling a little stressed. I think he hit the button by accident, so he might have to walk it off later.
No.
I thought maybe Brooklyn was popping in, but that's yeah. So walking certainly helps with stress. I agree. I do a lot of that. But here's the thing for me, and I want to talk about it, and I want to talk about motivation. I mean, I think oftentimes people talk about healthy lifestyle and how do you stay motivated, but the reality is we can't. We're never going to be motivated 100% of the time. And this is something that I learned, and people speak about willpower. Willpower isn't easy, and motivation aren't easy. And I think that when people derail and they say, oh, I just don't have the willpower, nobody has the willpower all the time. It's really about being disciplined. I think you have to find a way to be disciplined even when you don't feel motivated, and you just have to force yourself to do it. I mean, even the top elite athletes, sometimes they're forcing themselves to do it. I mean, nobody desires or wants to be healthy all the time, but it's just a matter of just doing it for the betterment of your own well-being. And then
Yeah, I agree. Because you can lose motivation, but if you just stay stuck in that, you're not going to feel better. If you just force yourself to do it, whatever it is, you'll end up feeling better in the end. You won't regret doing whatever it is, but you might regret sitting on the couch and not doing it at all.
True. And we don't want to beat ourselves. We don't want to. Well, I wish Brandon was on, but Kim is saying go to Minnesota with your girlfriends to reduce stress. I think that sounds like a good idea. Let's plan that.
Yeah.
So I think I want to talk about mindset, and I want to talk about self-love, because I think that those are two big cornerstones of our practice. And if anybody wants to check out our practice, really, Courtney and I are I've had a wellness practice, but now that I'm bringing Courtney on, and I've become certified as an NLP practitioner and a hypnotherapist, and I think that we're really thinking about how we could meld those two. So we're on a little bit of a hiatus, but of course we're willing to help out anybody. And in our Facebook group, we are going to be putting in our contact information so anybody can private message us, and we're certainly willing to give anybody our help and guidance until we're back in operation, because we really want to provide the best service and program that we can. And we thought about it. We thought about what that means, and we thought about what we believe works. And so we're modifying our program, and we're really in redevelopment. So, and I think that bringing Courtney in will allow me to work on the mindset pieces. So really, if you come and work with us, you're going to get both of us, because I think that I'm an expert, more of an expert in the mindset piece, and Courtney's really developing her expertise in the nutrition and movement pieces. So my good friend Jason is showing up, and he's saying, "Hey, Joe." So I don't know if you saw the beginning of the show, Jason, but this is Courtney, my niece Courtney, and my partner in my wellness practice. And she's also my new co-host on Holistic Health and Hot Mamas. So I'm very proud of her, actually. I mean, she's like the daughter I never had, or the daughter I've adopted in my own respects and my own right. So she's as close to a daughter as I can get. So I'm very happy that she joined the network. So Jason is one of the executives of Coast to Coast. So, we kind of have to kiss his ass, Court. I hate to say it. So so he's saying, welcome to the team, Courtney. So thanks, Jay.
Thank
So,
you.
and I really don't. Yeah, I really don't, Court. The network's great. So, what do you think about that? What do you think about the mindset piece, and what do you think about that evolution of our practice? That I think that really having two separate people behind your back, one worrying about your mind, and the other worrying about your body, is really probably going to work in our best interest. And I think that we're fortunate, and we're looking forward to that endeavor.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be great. I think it makes us unique in that you get one person focusing on one aspect and another person focusing on another, and then you have two people, rooting for you and trying to help you be the best version of yourself that you can be.
Agreed. Agreed. Uh, and I don't like Justin's asking us, what calm spaces do you go to calm yourself down? I don't know if you really need a specific dedicated space, Justin, or if you do, you just find what works for you. I mean, I've known people, and I hate to call well, I'm not going to call them out, but I've known people in our own family who have found respite in the closet, because sometimes when you're a young parent, or a parent, an old parent, and you have a lot of people in your household, you just need to duck out. Sometimes I'll be honest, I'll take a quick drive if I have the ability to, but not everybody does. Yeah, some people can't just leave their kids, and taking a drive with young children isn't really calming. I will say that.
Yeah.
So so you can duck into the closet. You can go into the stairwell if you have a basement, and just shut the door for a moment, or even just in your garage. Just take a few minutes. And we spoke about this last night, Justin, and I don't know if you recall, but you don't even necessarily have to go anyplace. Just if you take some deep breaths, and the sun do practice some of those breathing exercises, that's also, many people find that beneficial. I'm not as zen as some other wellness coaches are. I'm probably much less than Courtney, maybe more zen than I am, but I'm more of a traditionalist. I'm kind of old school, and I do speak about mindset, but um, I think
Yeah, for a mom, it's
when we
definitely
Jason
hard.
and Jason is saying, I think he meant to say, being a father is the hardest, most amazing job you never knew you wanted. And I will say this about Jason. Jason is probably, what I know about him, he's probably one of the best parents I've ever known. So, and Courtney is as well. Being a parent is the hardest, most amazing job you will ever have. Totally, totally agree with that. And I think it's the most fulfilling.
Definitely.
We're really raising young people to go out into the world, and I think the goal is, as a parent, is that you just want, and this isn't to denigrate anyone's parent, but I think you always want to come out a little bit better than your own parents. You learn from what your parents brought to the table, but then you bring a little something extra. I mean, that's always my goal. And I see it even in our generations, Courtney. I believe that I have skills and abilities that my parents didn't have, but I see it in you. You have much more skills and abilities. I mean, you're on the go. You bring them to a million more places than I ever did. And I think that I love that. I can see it in your daughters. They're really independent and spunky, and a lot of fun. And they have a few inhibitions, but they're really inspiring little people. So well, I don't want to
You're gonna bring a tear to my eye.
all right, then my mission is complete. I'm good at that. I like to bring some tears to
Yeah.
people's eyes. Justin is saying, and I'm going to call him out on this, actually. And I don't know if Jay's still listening, but I'm certainly going to call him out. Being a mom is harder because you give birth, and a dad does not give birth. So being a mom, I will give you this: in the delivery room, Justin, being the mom's a little bit harder in that moment. But I think that being a father is equally difficult. Once you get home from the hospital, at least once. Okay, maybe the first year is harder on the moms, but depending upon the type of parent you are. I mean, Jason is actually a single parent, and I think that there are many single fathers out there who certainly step up to the plate. So I never want to call anybody out because we don't know their story and we don't want to prejudge anybody. But I always want to give a shout out to the dads. And I will say, and Courtney will attest to this, that I have a phenomenal father. So I gotta go with both, equal footing for the dads.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think
Being a mom
Courtney,
is definitely hard, but my husband definitely, you know, does his fair share also.
yeah, and and Jason's concurring. Giving birth is harder. Having to raise children on your own is the hardest thing you will ever do. And I don't know if giving birth is harder. I think giving birth harder in that moment. Almost
Agree.
exactly when
Yeah,
it's over. We're over it. We're over it the moment it's done. I mean, that's the
you're
reality
right.
at the moment. But by the next day, we're off and running. And I had 3 C-sections, and really it really, even C-sections don't hamper you for too long, maybe a couple weeks, but you don't have an option. But I agree. I think having to raise children on your own, whether you're a man or a woman, is extremely difficult. I don't know how people do it sometimes without support and help and guidance, and it's something to be proud of for sure, especially when you're doing it right. And I'm going to say that Jason's doing it right. And I think we know single parents do, Court, who do it right for sure. um, uh, and so now we're wading into the divorce question. All right, let's go for it. We might as well get into it. Justin's speaking about divorce, and he's saying that men get divorced more than women. But of course, that's hard to say, Justin, because they're divorcing women. So that's 50-50 there, unless it's the same sex union. So, um, so we can't say that. And there's always two sides to a story, Justin. I think that even if someone is, let's say that we have a man who's unfaithful and he's the one who prompts the marriage, but there's something going on there. I mean, there's always circumstances. You never know what's going on behind the doors in anyone's home, and something's lacking in that relationship if people are seeking outside companionship. So I'm going to say that. And I'm going to speak to Justin's point. Sometimes getting a divorce is the best thing you can do. So we don't want to judge anyone's circumstance, and we always say that, Justin, and we've spoken about it before. We don't judge anybody because we don't know what's going on in their minds or their households or their relationships. So I want to say that. I'm going to go back to Kim saying, giving birth doesn't last long. It's hard only for 24 hours. Well, I will say some people go into labor for 48 hours, but for the most part, you're right. It's a 24-hour endeavor. And then I would say, in all honesty, the pregnancy for me was harder than giving birth. My first son was really tough. I mean, I don't want to, yeah. And that whole experience, yeah, was very, very difficult for me. And I was afraid to have children, a second child, actually, because it was so horrific. And I'm not going to get into those details, um, but I think that, yeah, it's maybe hard for 24 hours, maybe a week, but agreed. I think definitely raising children is much more difficult than that. The pregnancy really was tough. I hate, so many women say they love being pregnant. I really did not. I hated it.
I did not
And so,
either.
so,
I
and
did
I
not
always,
like being
yeah,
pregnant.
and I always like to point that out because there are so many women, I think, who feel pressured to say that they love being pregnant, when I will say all 3 times I hated it until the end. I mean, maybe the last month when you're looking forward to it, and the first month when you don't know, but 7 out of the 9 months weren't so great.
Yeah, the
I will
only
say.
thing that I miss about being pregnant is I just love the feeling of your baby moving. But other than that, I do not like pregnancy. But right, and then laboring is very hard, but honestly, like the second they put that baby on you, you just forget about all of it, and all that whole 10 months is just so worth it.
So worth it. Absolutely. So Justin has a great point. And Jason is commenting already. What about adopting a child? What's your take on that? I don't have a take. I think that, to me, there's no differentiation between whether a child's adopted, a half sibling, a step parent, whether they have no blood relation to you. I think that adoption is really a child that was that was born in your heart, that you chose
Yeah.
that child, and most people who are going through adoption can't have children on their own physically, and to really, it's such a leap of faith. There are so many children. I know people who have adopted children who have had fetal alcohol syndrome or special needs, or neurodiverse children, and I think that it's such a gift of love. I mean, of course, there's adoption stories going wrong. I'm not going to say that. And Jason saying adopting a child is amazing. Most of the time, it gives the child a better life. Totally agree. And it gives the parent a better life. There's nothing more rewarding than being a parent. And I'm not suggesting, there are many people who choose not to have children, and that's certainly their right, and that's their choice. And I think that we understand and respect everyone's lifestyle choices, whether it's to be a parent, not to be a parent, and we mourn for the people who want to be parents and can't be. I mean, that's an entirely different issue. And I like this.
Absolutely.
Kimberly is saying, I agree with Joanne's pregnancy statement. I hated being pregnant. So how does that make you feel, Court? Wasn't that your mom? I'm jealous of women who say they loved it. I felt like I missed out. I don't feel like I missed
Aw.
out. I had the experience, but and I will say there were moments that I like being able to eat whatever I want. I'll say that. I'll call that out for the
Yeah.
pregnancy moms. That was a plus. But yeah,
I took full
I didn't
advantage
like.
of that.
Yeah, I did too. So I'll retract that statement. I didn't hate it quite as much as I attest to. This is a great story. This is a great adoption story. The movie The Blind Side. His name was Michael, and I'm going to forget his last name. Justin, you should know it. He was a football player, and I can't recall his last name. He's a professional football. That was a fabulous story. And I think that there are many. Just even Brooklyn, our co-host, she was adopted, and I don't know. I just read her story actually today. It was published, and she's not here tonight, but she was adopted, and it was a closed adoption, and she idolizes her parents. She had a great upbringing, and she's so proud of it. And when her son, she never imagined that she was going to even have any contact with her birth family. And oh yeah, Michael Orr, yeah, that's his name. That was a great movie, a great story. But Brooklyn never imagined she was going to find her biological family. And when she had a baby at 10 months old, her baby developed a liver tumor. And so she started really thinking about her medical history. And a family member of hers gave her, and I have one actually. I haven't done it yet, and I want to do it. Actually, my sister gave it to me. The genealogy kit, the DNA swab, and I think it's from Ancestry.com. And she said within 24 hours she got 100 hits from her biological family. And one
Wow,
of
that's amazing.
it is amazing. A cousin reached out to her and said, "I believe I'm related to you." And then he started to work on behind the scenes. She didn't realize it. He reached out to her a couple months later, and he had filled in her entire family tree. He said, "I found your biological
Wow.
father." And he said, and so he had her father's side done. And she reached out to him, and she had built up this, it's amazing how we create these stories in our mind and these internal dialogues. So she had created this story about her parents, that they were two teenagers who, and that was true, they were teenagers who hated one another and didn't want to have anything to do with one another, and they were drug addicts, and they just couldn't handle having a child. And then she decided to call her biological father when she had the contact information, and just his reaction. He had said that they were just teenagers. She was in the NICU. She actually died in the hospital when she was an infant. They had to resuscitate her 3 times. And he wanted her, but he just couldn't do it. So now she found her 5 siblings. She's actually the oldest of 6 children. She's reconnected with both of her biological parents, and both of them wanted her. Her father actually set her up with her mother, and it's just a great story. I'm going to share the link to her story. It was just published today and on a different platform, and I'm going to put that in the Facebook group because I think it's so phenomenal. It's really just an inspiring story, and they're also happy. And if you see her family, they look so much like her. They're like carbon copies of her. So it's a great story.
Wow, I love stories like that. There's a TV show I think on like TLC about, adopted children meeting their family, and it just makes me cry every time.
So here's Justin. So we're going all over the place. So he's saying that some people with ADHD go to a group home, and what are our thoughts on group homes? So I think that my thoughts, I don't want to speak for Courtney, and I don't know. Again, I don't know the personal circumstances of everybody who's in a group home, but I certainly think that there are many instances when I have to assume that families and people who are responsible for making those decisions have the child's best interests at heart. And if that's the appropriate setting for those individuals, then I believe that and in every occupation, there are people who shouldn't be in that occupation and who are, we can say they're, bad police officers, they're bad teachers, they're bad ministers, they're bad grocery store clerks. And when I say bad, I say that term loosely. And I don't like to judge anybody, but I think that we'll say troubled. And in some instances, it's more than troubled. So I don't want to say that. But I think that the people who work in those group homes are altruistic. And I'll say there are actually several gentlemen at Coast to Coast who work in group homes, and I think that they're admirable, and that profession is admirable. And for someone who is a part of the neurodiverse community, I applaud them, and it's a much needed service. So I advocate for anybody who's willing to help children or other people who are in need.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So Justin's asking you this, Court. Have you ever got detention in school?
Oh, yes, I did.
So everybody makes mistakes, and Justin just is graduated from high school. So I think that I don't even know if we did detention back, but I certainly have gotten in trouble in school for sure. And high school and school don't. They're really small blips on the radar of your life. Any decision, the normal childhood occurrences, they're not going to derail your future for sure, Justin. I mean, I think that you should be forgiving to yourself, whatever you do. I mean, look at the big TikTok craze right now. Have you seen that? Where I believe it's TikTok, or it's a
Where
challenge
they're like
to rip.
stealing.
Yeah, they're
They're doing
vandalizing the
that
school.
they're doing that in my old high school. There was an article online about my high school's principal, telling the kids they got to stop doing that. And the kids don't understand that their parents are really paying for those repairs with their
Well,
taxes.
yeah, they're doing it at Justin's high school too. He's saying, but it's more than that. It's a criminal offense. So you don't want to go and get yourself a permanent criminal record for failing for stealing a soap dispenser or ripping it off the wall.
Right.
And I think that oftentimes that is that's a great topic, and it's something that we maybe. Well, we're talking about whatever on Wednesday, so we can talk about it. But social media really is instrumental. Oh wow, they closed the school for 2 weeks because of it. But social media is a double-edged sword. I mean, it's really elevated our life in so many ways where, we can communicate with other people. We can have shows like this. We have platforms where we can reach so many more people than we ever had before. But when you're reaching so many people, it really has an impact on children. And in some ways, I wish that, children didn't have those options. But in some ways, the phone trackers on people's phones, on children's phones, and I don't know. There's just so much to technology that it's difficult. You see both sides of the coin. It's such a detriment, but it's also such a benefit.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this yesterday. Like, is society even ready for all of the technology that we have? And any question that we have, we can pull it up in a second on our phone. Like, and I think these kids are just, they want to go viral so badly for whatever reason. They're resorting to, vandalism and stealing, unfortunately.
Well, I think the reason is attention, and
Right.
is it attention from your peers to look cool? Is it, and most likely I believe that that's it. You want to be in the spotlight because even even adults get wrapped up in this, and this is why reality TV is so popular. The Kardashians are popular for a reason, because people are interested in what's going on in other people's lives, and it's not always a healthy, and it's not true. I mean, I even think about my own social media presence. Of course, we all put up the best pictures of ourselves, and I don't use filters because I don't know how to, but I'm sure if I knew how to, I would certainly be on it. And there are things, of course, that we all do to enhance our appearance. We all want a flattering photo out there, and I mean, I have lighting here. I don't know how to do a filter, but um I think that is true, that these kids today, and this does factor into our show and body image, that these children, and I've spoken about it many times. I mean, these young women in particular, you know, we don't even know what some people look like. I mean, think about that story, and Khloe Kardashian had a picture up, and she actually looked phenomenal, but because it wasn't airbrushed and it wasn't her, looking her best, she demanded that it be taken down. So I see both sides of it, but I think it's a message for someone. It's a message for young people, and even women, that looks are the most important thing, and I think that it's a tough call. I mean, think about it. Even yourself, you use filters.
Yeah. I just try to remind myself, no one is gonna be, you know, on at your funeral saying how great you look. They're gonna say, how great of a person you are and the things that you did in your life. No one's gonna, remember you for your body or your face.
I think that's a good point. And I think that I forget what the quote is. I don't want to misquote who it is, but I have a feeling I know who it is. But people, and this correlates, people don't, even in regard to what you say. I mean, people don't remember what you say, but they remember how you made them feel. So I think that that's
Right.
really a key component, is how you make you feel, how you make other people feel in the world. Yeah, and I think that whenever you have the opportunity to make someone feel special, I'm encouraging you to take advantage of that opportunity, because it's going to make you feel special too.
Absolutely.
So this is a great question, and I don't think I've ever been asked this question, friend, Justin. What do you think of friendship? What's your take on friendship? I'm going to say I'm an advocate. I'm a fan of friendship,
Yeah, me too.
and I'm lucky I have you as my friend, Justin. So,
Yeah.
I appreciate that, and that is a good thing about social media. If it weren't for Facebook, Justin and I would have never connected. Now he's someone makes a daily presence in my life, and this network is the same, and my other podcasting endeavors. So I'm indebted to social media, but I think for myself, I'm a mature person, and I'm not 12 or 13 or 14, but how do you feel in a workspace with coworkers? Huh? That's a different subject. I think that you're not going to be friends with every coworker you have, so that's something to be mindful of. But there are always going to be people in this world, and this is some advice I want to give to the young people out there, particularly you, Justin, because you're on. I don't know if Amy's on tonight, but there are always going to be people in the world who dislike you, and think about it in the reverse. There are always going to be people in the world that you dislike. So you don't want them to take it personally when you dislike them. So don't take it personally when somebody dislikes you, because every single one of us have people out there in the world who dislike us. I can I can think about people I see every day who dislike me, in the workplace, or and at the same time, I don't let that impact my life at all. Whereas when I was your age, I certainly would, but now it's barely a passing thought, because I recognize that that's the nature of humanity.
Right. And there's no, sense in spending time worrying about someone who doesn't like you. You're probably not going to change their mind. So just focus on the people that you like and that like you back.
No, and this is a all right. Let's go to this. This is another good question. Do you keep the past in the past and stay in the future? So I'm gonna comment on this. Yes, I keep the past in the past. I carry the lessons that I've learned from the past, but I don't stay in the future because you're robbing yourself of the present joy in your life. If you're worrying about what happened in the past and being hopeful about what your future might bring, you can't concentrate on either of those spectrums because the past is done. You can't change it, and you can't. I think it's a very, and I want, when I say that, I want to say there, you always want to have dreams and goals. That's a different thing. You have dreams and goals, but you don't let the pursuit of those diminish your present. You want to take advantage of the opportunities that you have today and the people in your life. Don't wish away your present by envisioning your future.
Right, because before you know it, it's gone in the blink of an eye. You have
Gone in
to
one.
enjoy where you're at, but also, like Joanne said, keep in the back of your mind your goals and your dreams, and um, everything that you do today will help you get to your goals.
Agreed. So we're down to the last 9 minutes. I want to talk about the direction of our show. And this show is whatever on Wednesday. So we talk about whatever. And I love all these topics. We really covered a lot. We talked about divorce. We talked about group homes. We talked about the new show. I mean, we had so many different topics. And I love that. That's the beauty of this show. But for holistic health and hot mamas, we have a more refined focus. It's not solely dedicated to health. I mean, I think that we have some segments that we're going to carry forward. And for those of you who don't know, Courtney is going to be stepping in as my regular weekly co-host. Brooklyn is going to be a featured contributor, and she's going to have a segment. We're going to continue some of the segments that she and I developed together. We like the self-care around the world. We're going to continue to do that. And then she's going to have a new segment, and I'm hoping it's going to be a weekly segment, but I'm not positive about that. But it's going to be called Brooklyn's Best. We talked about where she's going to be, thinking about products and things that are meaningful and beneficial to her and her world and arena. And then we're thinking about having a Courtney's Corner where Courtney, what do you think about that, Courtney? And what are your thoughts and ideas for that segment?
I love it. We could do children's products, maybe. Maybe we could try some new organic foods, or I'm not sure. I'll have to, write some ideas down.
All right, so we're in development, and if anybody viewing or who's watching the recording have any ideas, you can certainly hop into our Facebook group and give us some ideas. So I think we're going to be a little bit, we're not going to be scripted, but we're going to be regimented. We're going to try to stick to those topics. Of course, we always like to start out and celebrate our celebrations for the prior week. So we're going to celebrate. We always like a good party for sure. And maybe we'll talk about our favorite adult beverages. Who knows? That's always a fun experience. Maybe we'll even have one on the show. But we can talk about, and Justin's bringing up what about money? There are ways to be fit emotionally, spiritually, financially. So we can certainly talk about some of those things. Maybe that'll be my little bit. Fitness, the world of fitness. So I'll have to think about what my little catchy title could be. But so we're going to talk about self-care around the world. We're going to celebrate our accomplishments. We're going to have those two segments. And it's also about a little bit of beauty. So we'll bring in some beauty products. I'm still testing out the rose water products. So for anybody who is following that journey, and so I do enjoy the mask. We still have the Hanacure facial mask. Those are some products that worked out for us. But we're going to continue on the path that we were already on and bring in some new ideas. So if anybody has some new ideas, we'd love to hear them. And it doesn't have to be relegated we can think outside the box. It doesn't have to be relegated to the traditional methodologies in relationship to health and And don't forget, the second segment is Hot Mamas. So we can talk about fashion. I mean, maybe that's a little thing. We can talk about, seasonal fashion and look at, see if we can see any trends, talk about the trends in fashion. I would love to do that, actually. I love that idea. What about that?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, let's do that.
Sounds
Fashion
fun.
finds. That'll be our fashion finds. I'm a great, I shop anywhere. I'll shop at Poshmark or Walmart or any of the consignment shops. So I foray into Marshalls or Kohl's or Macy's, so I can find a good find anywhere typically, and we can spend that. It gives us an excuse to go shopping. I love this show even more.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So I don't know where that came about. I'm gonna contribute that suggestion to you, Justin. So Kimberly saying, great hour. Thanks, ladies. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank
So
you.
Court, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to tell us your impressions and close out the show.
Well, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in to my first show. This was definitely very exciting. And I hope you catch us on the Holistic Health and Hot Mamas.
So I did
I'm very
want to,
excited.
yes, I'm excited too. I wanted to talk about that. So we're going to come. We've come up with a new schedule. I mean, I spoke to the gentleman at the powers that be at Coast to Coast, and we're actually not going to be doing a live segment. We're going to be doing a recorded segment, but you can certainly ask us questions. And we may try to do we're gonna do recorded, but then we're going to do a recording. We're going to replay it every day of the week at 10 a.m. in a different time zone across the country. So, for instance, and I don't know if this is exactly right, but Tuesdays we're going to play it at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Wednesdays we're going to play it at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Times. Thursdays we're going to play it at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, and then we are going to play it at Fridays again at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We thought that would be an attractive time slot for young moms whose children might be taking a nap or in between running them around to school. So we want to broaden our perspective and give some time slots to. We recognize that this is probably a difficult time for some young women with young children. That's either bedtime or nap time or bath time. So you're gonna see us across the network on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. So that's some exciting news.
Yeah, so if you have any questions for us, you can send us a message, and then hopefully we'll be able to talk about that on the show.
And in our Facebook group, we're going to be much more aggressive about our social media, but we really want to use that Facebook group to really get some information and interact with you during the week. So
Right.
Justin always asks me this question, and I'm going to close it out on this note. We have 3 more minutes. And Justin's asking, what's our thoughts on women wearing makeup? And I find this question pretty funny because Courtney will attest that throughout my life, I rarely wear makeup. I don't wear makeup to the office. I don't wear makeup. I'll wear makeup to a party. I wear makeup on the air. But for the most part, I'm primarily makeup free, and I always have been throughout my entire life. So I like it on occasion. It's not my standard go to, but so I think it's funny now. I wear more makeup than ever now that I'm on camera. And what are your thoughts? I don't think you wear a lot of makeup either, Court.
Yeah, I love makeup. I love playing with it. I don't wear it all the time, especially since COVID, because we have to wear masks more often. But I love playing with it. I like trying new things. But if it's it's up to the person. If someone doesn't want to wear makeup, that's fine. If they do want to wear it, great. I think it just depends on the person, and they just do or don't do it to make them feel better about themselves.
And I agree, Justin saying women look good without makeup, but they look good with makeup too. So it's a personal choice. And and Justin saying, why do men wear makeup? Again, it's a personal choice. If they find them, it makes them feel better about themselves, and that it's all about making yourself feel good and appreciating yourself. And if a man wants to wear makeup, a woman wants to wear makeup, I'm all about that. And that's going to be part of our segment. We'll talk about some fashion finds, some beauty brands, and I think that we're really looking forward to the new things that are to come on Holistic Health
Yeah.
and Hot Mamas. So I can't
And
thank you
it's
enough. Go ahead.
and makeup is fun. So if men do wear makeup, a lot of people just find it as like a form of art. So, anybody can wear makeup. It's fun.
Agreed. And I think that that's a similar vein, and we might talk about this. I mean, tattoos are the new rage too, and that's a form of art and self-expression too. The hair
Right.
dyes, all types of things, piercings. It's a different generation, and really, nothing is off limits. There are so many things that are considered attractive that weren't necessarily considered attractive, particularly for women, 10 or 15 years ago. I think that it would be unheard of in that age for many people to consider a woman having a tattoo sleeve as attractive, but now it's the norm. I mean,
Right.
that's fads and trends change, bell bottoms come back, or rhinestones, the bedazzler, whatever the trend is, it's sure to come back again. So don't throw your bedazzler out. Anybody
Right.
who still has one. Maybe we'll bedazzle on the show. Who knows? But thinking of bedazzling, first I want to thank you for coming on the show, Court, and I'm so excited for all of our collaborations. But I always have to thank the dazzling personality behind the scenes, my main man, Chris P. Bacon. We can't end a show without thanking him, because he's the man behind the magic. So thanks, Chris. We appreciate you helping us out tonight. So good night, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.
Good night.
We'll talk to you.
Thank you.
You'll see us on Monday.
Bye-bye.